Hey, morning, comrades. Hope everyone's doing great. So onward next to the final game in the World War II opening of the Black Ops timeline. That is Call of Duty World at War. This was actually the second Call of Duty game I played. They released it originally back in like 2007, I want to say. And it was Modern Warfare. I think I did play the earlier games, but I don't remember them too well. Anyway, I really got into Call of Duty when I got Modern Warfare and my PlayStation 3 in like 2006-7 timeframe. And then just played it all the time, multiplayer, single player, yada, yada, yada. And then the next year, this is when Activision really started being like, oh, we got a lot of money doing this. And they got, not Infinity Rail, something to make the Modern Warfare games, and then they had Treyarch, which would make games the other years, and that was like World at War, and then the Black Ops games kind of fell under them, and they've been crushing it since. Then the guys who were in charge of Infinity, whatever, after they finished Modern Warfare 3, they had a out with Activision, who's the company that produced and owns the Call of Duty franchise. And they left to make Titanfall, which Titanfall 2 is it might be the best first-person shooter I have ever played in my entire life. It is excellent in every way. If you enjoy video games, you should play Titanfall 2. Oh my gosh. And then they went and made Apex Legends, which it's Apex Legends. And then I think they also made those Star Wars Dark Souls games. And I don't want to make some Dark Souls. I almost feel like they're more along the lines of Neo or like Ninja Gaiden, where like the kind of like, because there's some games that feel like Dark Souls, like Mortal Shell or Code Vein or The Surge or Lords of the Fallen. And then there's games that feel like an offshoot of Ninja Gaiden, like the 3D Ninja Gaidens, even the 2D Ninja Gaidens to some extent, where they're extremely hard, but they're hard in like a different way. And they're more about like the action than the lore, I feel. And that's like Strangers in Paradise, the Neo series, that Ronin one that came out for PlayStation, Wukong, Stellar Blade even, which I haven't played Wukong or Stellar Blade because they're not out on PC yet, as far as I've seen, to be able to track down. But and everyone kind of combines these into like Soulsborne games, and then even they include like the 2D games, which to me are more like Castlevania games, like they're more Metrovania than anything else. But how I designate them, there's really like that split. There's like Ninja Gaiden and Legend of Zelda 2. It's kind of the progenitors. And so you look at like Link and Legend of Zelda, and that eventually transformed into Dark Souls. Meanwhile, Ninja Gaiden eventually transformed into Ninja Gaiden, but then Neo. And so there's like Neo and the Dark Souls, like FromSoft and Team Ninja, is that who makes those games? Or Koei Tecmo, whatever. And there's like a divergence in like these 3D action role-playing style games, because the FromSoft games generally are very like role-playing heavy, and they're more exploring heavy, while the Ninja Gaiden style Neo games are more, again, about the action combat and the difficulty within. While, like, I feel none of these games are difficult per se. They're just tricksy, and you got to think about them. Okay. Got it. Anyway, I'm totally off base here. What the fuck were we talking about? World at War. So World at War is Treyarch's first foray, as far as I'm tracking, into the Call of Duty franchise. And it leads directly into the Black Ops timeline at this point. And so it is the original game. And Treyarch, this is where Treyarch invented the zombies mode, which also, at this point is in every Call of Duty game that's come out in the last several years where I'm tracking. I was never that interested in it. It has its own storyline that is also within the same world as the Black Ops, because Treyarch is Black Ops. Black Ops is Treyarch, and so is Zombies. And now that they have like Ravensoft, and I think there's another Sledgehammer games, they all kind of like, Treyarch is like the king. And I don't know I think they still have the name of the company, the Infinity one, that exists under Activision, but it is a shell of its former self compared to because all like the really, really, really like geniuses moved over to like, not Remedy. I think Remedy is the one who makes I don't remember. Anyway, they moved over under EA under a different company's name, and again, they're the ones who make Apex Legends and like those new Star Wars games, single player Star Wars games, which are like the best Star Wars games, even though they're not that good because I'm not into Star Wars. I mean, you got like I did like Dark Forces and Dark Forces 2 more, the Jedi Order or whatever, but the one I played the first one with Carl Sagan or whatever his name is. The funny looking redheaded guy, and it was pretty good, to be completely honest. But oh, that's how I got off on this tangent. Gosh, it's been a morning, folks. All right. And so I would consider that Star Wars game more Dark Soulsy because it's a lot more about the exploration and kind of figuring out the world. And I just don't feel like it's that difficult. It's more you get into a rhythm. And going back to the Ninja Gaiden games, those games tend to also be rhythm-based, if you will, but I feel like they're almost more difficult because the timing is so much more tight. Where I feel like generally with the FromSoft games, the games that are more cribbing on that, again, the combat is not as needed to be as tight. The only exception I would say is Sekiro, but I would say Sekiro is more of like a Ninja Gaiden game than it is like a Dark Souls game, to be completely honest, because it's more in like lines. It's with like the Neo games and stuff, not just because of the aesthetics, the Japanese aesthetics, but the way it plays and the focus on the action over the role-playing elements. The role-playing elements are almost like non-existent in Sekiro. Like, yeah, you can level up and shit, but come on, you can level up like everything these days. It's kind of like whatever. Well, in Dark Souls, it's like pivotal to like your build. And Neo, there's different builds, but it's kind of just like, what weapon do you want? That weapon? Good, do that. Anyway, we could argue about that all day. World at War takes place between two different sectors. So there's Private Miller, who's a Marine, and he's fighting the Japanese over in like the island hopping section of World War II for the Americans. And then there's Private Dmitri, who's a Russian guy, and he starts off in Stalingrad, I think it's Stalingrad because now it's Moscow, but that's what it used to be called. Over there, and then he eventually pushes into Germany from the Eastern Front. And I have to say, I love that they did this because you don't often see other perspectives of the war besides like America and kind of like England by like association, because people like just merge those things together. There was that one like third person kind of like Grand Theft Auto style, a mafia style game where you're like the Saboteur, where you're a French guy going around doing stuff. If I remember correctly, it was in Paris, but I think he was actually French, part of the French Resistance. So that was kind of neat. But other than that, most of these games are like World War II, Normandy Beach, Normandy Beach, Normandy Beach, sometimes Japan. And then this one time, like Russia. And yeah, in Vanguard, they had that level where you're like a Russian female sniper or something. But yeah, you don't see too much. That's why I liked World War I from Battlefield, because you got to go to like Arabia and like all this other cool fucking stuff. It was more interesting than like, oh, let's rush Normandy Beach for the 500th time. Yeah, hooray. So we're gonna bounce back and forth, but let's see. Anything else I want to talk about? Zombie stuff, Eastern conflict. Okay, so we get a cutscene that uses like it talks a lot about the Japanese invasion of Pearl Harbor, or not invasion, the attack on Pearl Harbor, and how that like got America into the war, and it kind of sets everything up. It uses like real footage of people like lining up to go serve and training and stuff, and just the hard focus on like it really sets you up for being like, okay, we're fighting in the Pacific against the Japanese. And starting in August 1942, Miller is in a Japanese like prison camp. And he's getting beat up, and a guy with him gets shot in the head, and then he's about to get shot in the head, but then he gets saved by Corporal Roebuck, who also is like kind of the voiceover character, because at this juncture in the games, because back in the day, like the main character, the sit-in character, like the character you would play as, never had like a voice ever. That's changed. We saw that in World War II, Call of Duty World War II, where Daniels is the one introducing everything and has a voice and a personality, but we're going back in time again, and that's how things went. So, and it's all pretty brutal stuff. But right before like I said, right before we're about to be killed, Roebuck saves us, and along with Sergeant Sullivan. And so then we have to escape the camp. So we start pushing through the camp and killing dudes, and then there's like a Marine rescue group here that's kind of helping us out. So we find a bunch of, so we're pushing through. We meet up with like more of the squad and more of the team and whatever they call it in the Marine Corps. I think it's just platoon, company. And we've got a big force, and we're fighting and killing all the Japanese. I think it's on not Marinay. It's I can't remember the name of the island. I didn't write it down. We get a couple interesting scenes. We get a scene where like, we walk into an open area and there's all these dead Japanese soldiers on the ground. And we're like, oh, so is someone else here fighting these guys? Because why are they all dead? And ruh-roh, it's a trap. So they all hop up. And one of the interesting things the Japanese soldiers do, and Treyarch did a lot of interesting things here. I don't think they get the credit they deserve. Especially at the time, I remember Infinity Ward, that's what it's called. Infinity Ward was like, oh, they're the best. Treyarch's piece of shit. They make the shitty games in between years. Let's just play the Infinity Ward games. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like these soldiers had a lot more intelligence. It wasn't just like send a billion troops out like in Modern Warfare 1, the original. And the Japanese soldiers would like shoot you, and when they ran out of ammo, they would like bonsai charge, and there'd be like 3 of them would like charge you with bayonets, and they'd be like bonsai, and they would set traps and stuff in the levels. So it was a lot of interesting fucking shit. So we take care of them, and then there's like a compound, and we blow that up by like lighting a truck on fire and pushing it into this compound. And then at that point we clear it out some more, and then we head to Paelu Island. Paelu Island. And then we get some more overtalk that's like, we were called the old breed because we'd been around the longest, or the old beards, and we were just like 27. Most of these guys were like 18 or younger. And then 2 years goes by, right? And 2 years later, it's September 1944, and it's time to assault the beach in Paelu. And so we're in like a marine craft, and we're going along, and we meet this new guy called Polinsky, and which becomes important later. I mean, not really, but he's like the other named character. So we got like Shepard. Oh no, not Shepard. What's his name? Yeah, Shepard, Polinsky, Roebuck, and us. It is Shepard, isn't it? Dun dun dun. Burn them. Beach stuff. Introduce Sullivan. Sorry, Sergeant Sullivan. Not Shepard. Shepard's later on coming in. So we assault, we get caught in this like crazy coral, and then the ship gets kind of blown up, so we hop off that, like that typical fucking thing they do in these games. And then right as we're about to capture the beachhead, so we push in, we shoot up, we moving in, we get through like a Japanese bunker, and then right as we're about to be like, all right, we did it, we saved the day, we got the beachhead set up, this Japanese guy bursts through like this door and kills Sergeant Sullivan, and then Roebuck takes charge and gets promoted automatically to sergeant, which is fun because if you're looking at Roebuck, it says corporal, because these games, they have like, when you look at like your teammates, it'll say like their rank and name, and so if you're looking at Roebuck, right when Sullivan gets killed, it says Corporal Roebuck, and then it changes to Sergeant because he just auto-promoted because you got to have a sergeant in charge, I guess. Which is not how that fucking works, but whatever. So next we got to run and get some anti-air guns so that the planes can come in and help out. And then, like, you know, the next level is later in that day. We're in this swamp, and we find a downed plane. And of course, it's another fucking Japanese trap. Because one of these privates hops up. He's like, hey, this guy's tangled on some wire. And then, boom, it's a grenade. Goddamn. And then, banzai. That's pretty good. We kill these guys, and we push forward to take out some AA guns, along with some tanks that show up to help out. And then once we secure that whole area, we call the general to be like, hey, we took care of the AA guns. The Air Force can come in, or the Army Air Force at the time can come in and blow this shit out of the Japanese now. And then it's like, ruh-roh, the Japanese are coming in for counter-strike or counterattack. And this part is some old ass bullshit. I think we have to kill like 3 or 4 tanks, and dudes keep popping up, and so we gotta get on like the flat cannon thingies and fire away and these other guns, and you know, it's fine, we're just like defending a position. But whatever. And then at the, you know, when we start to feel like we're about to get overwhelmed, the air troops come in and bomb the shit out of them, and it's like awesome. And then we go back 2 years, right? So we went 2 years forward, and now we're going back 2 years, but this time we're going to Private Dmitri in Russia, and he's laying there in a pile of like corpses, and guys are like withering around, and we see Germans walking around in the background, and it's like the Germans have assaulted Stalingrad and done their hard work killing Russians. And so we're just laying there quietly, and this German guy comes over, and he's like shooting the guys who are moving around, and it's like, just don't move and say anything. And then finally he like looks around and leaves, and then we start crawling out of the muck, and this guy's like, don't move. And it's Reznov. And if you played the Call of Duty Black Ops game, you're like, oh, it's Reznov. Fuck. I know that guy. And, yeah, we'll get more into him later. But he's like, shh, follow me. And you find out that he's a Russian sniper, and that his whole team got killed by this General Amsel. And then he wants revenge, so we're gonna help him do it because he like fucked up his hand, so he can't hold it steady to snipe. He's plenty good at shooting machine gun though, or these like submachine gun guns that we keep picking up. So good. And so he takes us. He kind of teaches us how to snipe. We like see some guys, and he's like, "All right, bombers are gonna fly overhead. When they fly overhead, shoot these guys, and you can shoot the sniper rifles. This game will shoot through one guy into the next." So we take care of all that, and he tells us more about this Amsel guy and how he's a creature of habit and yada yada. And then this armor platoon like rolls up from the Germans. He's like, "Oh, we gotta go. We can't stay here." So we move away from there and we hide some more, and then we are going to take advantage of this guy by going to he does like a check on all his teams like every day at the exact same time. So we're going to go wait for him to do that. And Reznov apparently has been stalking this guy for weeks or months or sometime. But after moving on, we see a sniper. So we have a sniper face off, which is pretty cool. So we climb to the top of this building, and Reznov's like, he's over there in that window, and then we can kind of track him, and then we have to like ping him, and like the light will flare real quick from like the reflection of the light, even though it's nighttime, on his scope. And so we kill that guy. And then we continue on, but this German patrol catches sight of us, and we're in this building, and they're like, burn it down. And so they start burning this building down, and they got like an APC or whatever, and they're shooting it up, and we're running, and we get caught under like a fiery bar. And then we're like, shit. And then Reznov comes back and helps us like move that off so we can keep escaping. And at some point the building's like, we have to like leap out of the building before it completely collapses on itself. And then we like roll around on the ground, and these Germans roll up, like this flamethrower guy and these other dudes. And they're like, haha, fuck you. And they like kick Reznov in the face, and they're getting ready to shoot him and then shoot me when they get shot. And it's some more friendly Russians. Hooray, comrades. These comrades are, they're going in they need some support because they're going to destroy like a German communication building so that the Germans have a harder time communicating, obviously. And so we help them with that. We climb up, we do some more sniping fun stuff and snipe, and they move into this building, and they finally take it over and they destroy it. And then Reznov's like, all right, time to move on. And then we're moving around the building through like other buildings far away, and we see this like huge German like force like rushing the building. And then Reznov's like, oh, they're fucking dead. Well, what you gonna do about it? They helped us. And then because of all the craziness, General Amsel is like making a break for it out of that area so that he doesn't get killed, because obviously he's a general. And at this point, Reznov's like, all right, now's our chance. And he tells us to kill the bodyguard, but I'm like, fuck that. Amsel keeps running out on his own, so I just shoot him. And he's like, yeah, we did it. Dance, yay, we did it. Let's move. Let's get out of here. Oh, we did it. And he's like laughing and cheering himself, and he's pretty excited about the whole fucking situation. And so we run, and these guys are like, the Germans are like firing on us from far away and being like, hey, we saw that guy shot from up there. Get him. And we run, and then we get to the edge of this area, and we jump into the river to escape. And then we do. And then it's 3 years later. So we bounce back up to April 1945. And we're in Seelau Heights, Germany, with Dmitri still. And we've been captured by Germans. Again, I guess no, Miller was captured by Japanese at the beginning, and then we were almost killed by Germans. But then this time we were captured by Germans, and they're shooting my friends. And I go for a gun, and they kick out of my hand, and they're about to shoot me, and then Reznov saves me. He comes in and blah, blah, blah. He's like, Dmitri, you're still alive. Oh, yay. Come, we're going to burn their crops. We're in Germany now. We're going to destroy their lands and get revenge. And the whole level, he's like laughing and talking. And there's this other guy, I forget his name, Cheznov, Chenyan or something, some Chet. And he's like, Sergeant Reznov, you seem so happy. And he's like, yes, they killed my friends, and now I kill them in their homeland. From Mother Russia. It's good shit. And this level, you just cruise through. It's not like nothing really happens. You just like, you fight, you kill some tanks, you assault a few places, you kill some more guys, you burn some guys out, you throw a lot of Molotov cocktails, you get through the area, and he just like the whole time Reznov's like laughing and cheering, and yeah, we crush it out. At this point, we jump back a year. Back to 1944, to where we left Miller and Company. They're still trying to work to capture Palu Island. This takes place literally like the same day that we left them, just like later on in the day, to go do the Russia stuff. Now we have a flamethrower, and we're clearing out motor points and trenches and all that stuff. And once we do that, we go to the next level, which is the next day, and we hit the big guns with the tanks, and then we finally secure the island. We do that by clearing out a couple tank positions, take the guns through the tunnel system, and finally secure the island. At that point, the game's like cruising. Like there's, it sounds like I'm going fast. There's literally like start the level. Here's justification for what you're doing. Go do it. All right, next level. So kind of the story is very sidelined at this point. And this game doesn't have like a very strong like thorough line story necessarily. Anyway, it's just like the Americans doing stuff, Russians doing stuff, moving on with your day. So it's gonna sound like I'm cruising through these, but the game is cruising through these things. Back to the Russians. It's a year later. It's about 7 months later from when the Americans left off. And this is a weird one because according to the days that the game has within the game, this is like 2 days. So when we were last playing Dmitri, it was like April 16th. Now it's April 14th, 1945. So it's like it's back to the Russians, so like 7 months later from like the Americans, but like forward in time, but also back in time for when we. So in the previous Russian level, Dmitri got rescued, and then we like pushed through this whole area, and it's like we secured a silo, and then now we're going 2 days before that, and now Dmitri is a tank driver, and he has yet to be captured, but. As we push all the way through this level and destroy things and clear out the whole area. And then we get on a train at the end. So it seems the only way to justify this based on like if the timeline is correct and not a mistake by the Treyarch, the developers, that, okay, so we do the tank thing, and then after the tank thing, we got captured by some Germans and then rescued, and then we pushed through in like the previous level, and then we got on the train, which is back in this level, at the end of this level, and those trains take us straight to Berlin. And once we roll into Berlin, it's time to murder Germans with tanks and guns. So we're following tanks around the city of Berlin and going in and out of buildings and stuff, and Reznov is still loving it. This is April 23rd, so this is a whole week later from like when we left Silo, roughly a week later. Anyway, there's the main objective in this level is to take this asylum because it's full of Germans doing German stuff. So we get through, and then there's a huge epic battle where there's like tanks blowing stuff up, and we're shooting dudes, and there's Panzer strikes and all that stuff, and hoorah! The next day, the next level, we're now still in Berlin. It's like raining outside, so we're sneaking through some buildings trying to like kill more Germans around. And then so we kill Germans around there. We head out into the street and we fight and we kill more and we blow up like a building. And then there's like artillery fire or something. So we all head down into the metro area to get away from that. And then we're killing Germans in the subway. And then all of a sudden there's this huge torrent of water that comes down the subway. And Reznov's like, "Get away, run!" And then fade to black. And then we go back in time 20 days to the Americans. Now the Americans, we're not playing Miller at this point. This is fucking timeline is so disjointed. We're playing the Black Cats, and Black Cats are like the predecessor sort of the A-10 Warthog, where they're a big ship with like a pilot, a co-pilot, and like several gunners and like an engineer, and they have like I think like 5 or 6 like machine guns, like left, right, back, forward, and they would just fly low and like decimate things. And they used them. And we use them here out in the water to blow up like the Japanese like patrol boats and to sink one of their convoys. So there's us and Hatchet, I think, is the other one, and we just fly around, and then this level's actually the best level in the game as far as I'm concerned, because it's just you don't do much. You're on a rails and you just like fire at things that are firing at you, and the game just kind of proceeds forward. But it's cool because you keep moving, you keep jumping around, and like Treyarch does such an excellent job here with like the movements, right? Because I've never done this job, and I'm not gonna look into it, but it feels like you're actually on this plane moving around. Like this would be like a hell of a like VR level, because playing it like this old fucking school game that not even up-res past like HD. Like you're moving around, like you're tagging guys as you're like taking places for them to shoot, and you're moving up and down, and dudes are patting you on the back, and the plane's getting more messed up as it keeps getting shot, and like you fly, and then at some point we destroy that convoy, and we get a call that like a Navy convoy is under attack, and they need some support. So we go out there and we can like rescue guys from the water, and we shoot down like Japanese planes, and this boat, the Black Cat, apparently can become a boat. So we drop down into the water, so that we can like skirt around some more and rescue guys. So we're pulling dudes out of the water. We're still firing at the planes and the other boats and stuff. It's fucking cool. It has nothing to do with shit all. But it's fucking awesome. It's a super fun level. I gotta say, like that's the most fun I've had in this game, like bar none. I was like, wow, that was really good. And again, it's just like I still think about like the movements are so smooth, and like it's exactly how I've been, having been in the military for a while, like a long time. That's exactly how you do operations. So it's like, you know what, like someone orders a command, you move. You tap people when you're ready. They smoothly move out of the way in like a prescribed fashion. It was excellent. This whole thing was like the best out of this and World War II. It was the most like military I've ever seen like anything operate in either of these games. Like so good, like so fucking fantastic. Not just dudes like running up a hill getting killed, like in a movie, like in a stupid ass movie, because that's not how militaries have ever functioned. But this is exactly how like a military would function in this plane. So it's so good. At this point, after we rescue some guys and then we get saved because we're getting overwhelmed because it's just us versus a whole bunch of fucking dudes. But the Thunderbirds come in, or whatever they're called, kill the Zeros, which are the Japanese planes, and then we're like, cool. So then we head back with the people we saved, which I only saved one, because so World at War doesn't play natively with controllers, so I had to like console in and like change the console command so I could actually use a controller. And so when the game's telling me things to do, it's telling me like hit this on the keyboard, and like those keyboard things are now tied to the remote that I'm using, but I don't know exactly what those are, because I feel like I do. It's like, oh, I press this at this time, and I press it, nothing happens. I'm like, okay. And there's a lot of like press F this, do this, go here, press this, and I'm like, I just let the game I let Jesus take the wheel essentially, because the guy would just start moving. I'm like, okay, well, I must have pressed the right button, or the game just like gave up and was like, do it. All right. Next up, we move up to May 14th in 1945, and now we're taking over Miller. And again, that previous level has nothing to do with shit all, except that it's like, hey, we're going to Okinawa next, and I guess this is like us being transported over to Okinawa, and we're protecting us or like other people. Anyway, so we're in Okinawa. It's a sweaty jungle, which everything on the Pacific is like a sweaty jungle. It's just how it fucking is. And I guess we've been there for a while, right? It's been like a month. Or over a month since no, it's about a month, because it was like May 16th or April 16th, 24th. Okay, so it hasn't been a full month. I'm trying to like look back. It's been a couple weeks. So we've been over here in Okinawa for a couple weeks, and now we get satchel charges. Sweet. And it's time to use those satchel charges to blow up bunkers. So we do that, and then we rush a hill, and it's time to get inside and kill more people in more tunnels. So we finish up taking the last fortress of the Japanese in this area. And as we're doing that, we're carrying some guy, me and Roebuck, or Dan, or what is it, Miller in this game. Miller and Roebuck are carrying some dude, and some ass major is like, all right, guys, we're almost there. We just got to keep pushing through and take Okinawa. And Polinsky is like, hey, sir, what about resupply? And he's like, it'll get here when it gets here. Apparently, it doesn't fucking get here for at least 2 more weeks. We're promised, though, if we can just take Shuri Castle, that at that point the Marines can go home. Hoorah! What did they say? Hoorah! Yeah, hoorah! Hoorah! So 2 weeks later, on May 29th, 1945, we get that ammo drop right in Shuri Castle. And as soon as we pick up some nice new weapons like a Tommy gun and, do I get a sniper rifle at this point? Yeah, some sort of a scoped Springfield. We get attacked! Banzai! So we push and push and push and kill dudes and kill more dudes and blow up some, what do you call them? Motor nests and all that good stuff. And then we have to make a choice, because Roebuck and Sergeant Roebuck and Private Polanski both get attacked, and we can only save one of them. I saved Polanski because I thought it was Roebuck. Oh well, what you gonna do? And then we have this big assault at the end where we can call in airstrikes to blow up buildings and stuff. And this part just is kind of boring and takes forever. But at that point, that's the end of the Americans in the East. We took Okinawa, and next up is the atomic bombs, I guess. I don't think we didn't land troops into Tokyo. Well, not Tokyo, into Shinjuku, like the main islands of Japan. So that's as far as we got. Cool. So we finish up the game with Back to the Russians in Berlin. And so going back a month to April 30th, 1945, Reznov is dragging Dmitri out of the metro after it is flooded. And he's like, oh, they flooded themselves and us, but you will always survive. Reznov is the best character in this game, hands down. He's so happy. And he's like, the mother Russian, we can never lose as long as you are alive, Dmitri. And such. And then he pulls the most Sergeant shit I've ever seen in my entire life. Like Sergeant, goddamn, what was his name? Sergeant then Pearson from World War II, mwah, just excellent writing. Reznov, also excellent writing. The sergeants of both these games, wow. Roebuck's okay. He's way too composed and way too like cool. He should really be like an officer as far as I'm concerned. But just because he's just to be that calm and composed in like a war zone, you got to be fucking like ignorant about what's happening or just not give a fuck, right? Because these sergeants, they care so much, and Reznov, man, he loves it. So he sees Reznov writing in a journal, and he's like, the fuck is this? And he like takes the book away, and he's like, what are you writing? No one's gonna read this shit. If you don't want to kill for Mother Russia, you did die for Mother Russia. Fucking Reznov, so good. And so then he hands him his flag, the Russian flag, and he's like, carry this. And it's like, awesome. Sergeant. I literally had sergeants tell me when I was a junior enlisted, like I was reading a book once and like a line, not a formation. We were just waiting in line to go to like a class for one of my trainings. And I'm like reading a book, and he's like, some sergeant walked up and was like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, reading a book. And he's like, what kind of shit is this? And then later on, my buddy's like, they hate you because you read. He's like, what the fuck have I done with my life? And so then I had to be sneaky about reading. I had to like keep an eye out and be like looking around, and then I could like read my book. God damn, dude. It was, what are you doing? No one's going to read this shit. Oh, good Lord. Okay. Anyway. So we take out some cannons. We continue to move through Berlin to the Reichstag, which is like where the SS and the heads of the Germans, the German army, are like hanging out. And we finally get there, and we have to like play this awful. These last couple levels are pretty awful. Like I'm getting killed by grenades like all the time. Just like randomly, like I'll be like walking around killing dudes, doing stuff, and then it's like bam, dead by grenade. And sometimes you can like pick stuff up, but sometimes a grenade would like land, and I'd like try to run away, and it was not fast enough, or I'd run to where the grenade's at so I could pick it up and throw it, and it was also not fast enough, and it was just like constant. And I was like, I'm on the easiest difficulty. Like the fuck am I like? They should not be using grenades as liberally as they are, but like whatever, fuck it. I finally got through. And we get to the Reichstag, and right before we can go in, Reznov runs up and gets killed by a flamethrower. Wah, wah, wah. So Reznov, after he killed the flamethrower guy, Reznov gets super pissed. He picks up the diary, and he's like, here, you take this and read it. And then I guess we do, because it's like later on. Okay, so we enter the Reichstag, that's into that level. Then the last level starts, the Reichstag level. And at like the little intro sequence, we're getting like Reznov talking about Dmitri and Reznov, and how he doesn't understand Dmitri because he like doesn't say anything. And he's so dedicated to like the cause and all this stuff, and it like confuses him or something, yada yada yada. Anyway, so it's time for the final push. So we just push and push and push, and we crush. And there's these large open areas. There's like the lobby, and then there's like the big like announcement hall or whatever with like a bunch of seats, and it's super cool. Like this place might have used to be an opera house or something, I would assume. Anyway, so we're moving around, we snipe dudes, we blow dudes up, we're killing flamethrower guys, we're panzer striking dudes, it's so good. And we just move and move and move, and then we're climbing, killing dudes, and we get up to the roof, and we kill some more dudes, and finally we clear off the roof, and it's like, now's the time! And we grab the flag, and we run, and we hop over this thing, and then we get shot, because there's a German guy just like fucking hanging out here by the flag. Like, fuck that guy, what a coward. And then Reznov comes over and pulls out a fucking machete. It's like, bro, where you been hiding this shit the whole game? And he clobbers this guy. When I say clobber, he like cuts him up real good. And then he's like, he runs up and he cuts the swastika flag down, the German flag down, and is like, come, Dmitri, as long as you are alive, Russia can never fail. You are the heart of this army. And I was like, dope. And so like we hobble over to like the flag and plant that motherfucking Soviet Union flag down, and Reznov is laughing and like cheering. He's like, yes, yes. And he's like, as heroes we shall return to Russia. And then we get stats, and that's like the end of the game. And then we get a little cutscene with like some stats about all the death during the war and all the lost lives and everything. And then we get like some speech by MacArthur that I was not really paying attention to because he's boring and gives terrible speeches. I don't know why they chose MacArthur. I guess because he was the head of the Pacific Front. I'd rather just hear more random bullshit from Reznov, to be honest. It's so good. But that's it. That's World at War. All right. Excellent. Moving on. So that's game number 3 technically in the Black Ops timeline. ignoring zombies, of course, and Warzone. So cool. So the next one up is Black Ops. We're finally at Black Ops after 3 World War II games. We move up to, I think, Black Ops. I'll know when I get there, but I'm pretty sure it starts in like the 60s. So it's like a 20-year gap. I don't think we really deal with the Korean War. It's more like around the Vietnam War and stuff, or right after that game takes place. We'll know in a little bit when we get there. But yeah, this was fun. It was fun to play through again. I would say it's hard. Like World at War is definitely an older game, and it's got some old timey like things that are kind of irksome, like the grenade fucking thing. And but besides that, I think I enjoyed playing it better than World War II. I feel like World War II, just, I don't know, it was all right. Like I didn't dislike playing it at all, but I'm thinking about playing it. All I can think of is like the cool story moments and then the annoying like story moments, or the cool characters developments and the cool character interactions, and then the terrible story. I like the gameplay is just like a wash in my mind. Like I don't remember anything like that cool or interesting. Like this game, you're in that fucking Black Cat level was hella sweet, dude. That was so fucking cool. And you're gonna drive a tank at some point, and then you're gonna be that Thunderbird flying around in the sky shooting things down. Like the levels are like much more engaging. There's not a storyline to speak of, but Reznov is fucking amazing. So yeah, I think I would definitely say I'm definitely gonna say World at War I prefer over World War II. Like if you're only gonna choose one, I would play World at War. Like it's janky and kind of in that kind of like early 2000s way, but it's not bad, and it still played high def, and it still looked decent enough. But yeah, I just felt like the choice, like the variation of weapons, the variation of levels, the different like the 2 different like air levels, the tank level, just all the different things you do. Flamethrower, I started level off with like a flamethrower, and I just used the whole fucking level because it was awesome, and it just like lasts forever. Like the flamethrower in World War II, which is more realistic, obviously, like runs out of juice, and then it's like, well, I'm done with this, and just the stuff like that. Like I was able to carry machine guns around and then plant them on like things and then fire them off. Yeah, World at War, I would say, is just like playing that game is better all around, 100%. The characters outside of Reznov are better in World War II, and definitely like the graphics and stuff, obviously, because it's a much newer game. But yeah, World at War, I'd say, is a far superior game than World War II. The more I think about it, the more I'm thinking in my head and comparing. Definitely, World at War is worth it. It's hard to find. It's hard to find, but also easy, because it's literally just on like an archive. Is it archive.com? I just got it from an archive site. Like literally, they just have the cracked version on there. From like El Amigos, I think, version 1.7. So if you want to play it on the PC, you literally can just like play it on the PC. Or if you have an old copy on like the PlayStation 3, I'm pretty sure is what it came out on, you can play it there. They're working on, I think you can emulate PlayStation 3 at this point. But I would say just get the PC version. You have to go into the console, and I can't remember the code I used, but you got to code in using the controller, which I prefer. But I mean, if you want to use keyboard and mouse, it just works natively like that. So I'd say highly recommend. If you like first-person shooters, if you like fucking cool Reznov, this game was not very long. I think it maybe took me like a total of 6 hours, if that. So, but it was fun. I had a good time. It's got the zombies, the original zombies, and that, it's like, again, it's like free fun. Like there's absolutely no reason. Like I didn't even have to torrent this or nothing. It's literally just on a fucking archive site, like ready to go. Be interesting to see them like remake this. I think they'd ruin it, but as in like game developers in the West generally have kind of ruined a lot of games by re-upping them or whatever. Maybe in a few years when they get their shit back together and they stop listening to dumbasses from Canada, they can figure it out. But anyway, very fun, very cool, excellent across the board. And yeah, next up's Black Ops. So go ahead, like, share, subscribe, comment, and I will catch you guys later.